Now, much of Europe has already cut Russian gas supplies. So what kind of impact will this move have?
It affects a few countries: Hungary, Slovakia, Italy, Austria. They were still dependent on gas on this pipeline, not exclusively. Plus, they also knew this was coming, and they have built up supplies. So this is not going to be a dramatic impact right now, but it means they are still scrambling around for alternative sources. The alternative sources are more expensive. And that's really the bottom line story. So the Americans are pouring in liquid gas. Liquid gas is coming in from other parts of the world, the Middle East, and so on. So the people will have the gas supplies. They will pay more money for it. And Europe as a whole will be put at a bit of a disadvantage when competing against the United States, China, and other markets that are using cheaper gas. So that's really the economic impact here.
Is there any way there could be an energy shortage in Europe because of this?
No, because there are the other liquid national LNG sources available. It's the question of the price you pay for it. You can get it. It just costs you money.
How much of an increase are you expecting to see?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not an economist, and I think it's anyone's guess right now. We know that in the last 12 hours, as of New Year's Day, it has spiked. But again, that's market reaction to a situation. Even though everyone knew it was coming, it still has an impact when it comes. There's an emotional side to these things, but over time, it'll sort of peter out. But prices in Europe will still remain relatively high. I mean, that is the fact of life, because they have to import all this LNG, and they have to take it from, gasified, liquefy it, gasify it again. That costs money. It's not the efficient way of doing it. Whereas a pipeline coming directly from Russia in gasified form was far more economical.
What does this mean for Ukraine after nearly 3 years of war?
Well, that means they lose $80 million of transit fees. That's about the effect here for them. The real story for Ukraine, though, is they are not doing all that well militarily. The Russians continue to move westward along the 1,000-kilometer front. And everybody knows that peace talks are going to have to come in 2025, simply because, A, the Trump administration is really going to push it, and B, Ukrainians really have no choice. They cannot defeat the Russian military inside Ukraine and restore the 1991 borders. As a consequence, peace talks and a compromise solution to the war is inevitable.
How much of a blow is this to Russia?
They expected it. It wasn't a major thing, but it hurts them. It makes economic life for Russia a little more difficult. It reduces revenues for them. But they do have some alternative sources in other parts of the world. I mean, since the Europeans have cut off most of the Russian gas in the last 2 years, the Russians have found alternative sources. The problem there is that the Russians have to then sell at even cheaper rates, like to China, which buys up most of that stuff. In India, they buy it up, but they buy it at a cut rate price, which again hurts the Russian revenues.
All right, that is our time, Andrew. We will have to leave it there. Thank you very much for being here with us today and sharing your insights, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you and your listeners.